Okay. Can you tell me about your earliest memories of reading or writing?
Well, I think just my earliest memories probably would be um, my mom reading books to me, or my dad, and in kindergarten, just reading stories out loud at storytime, things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Who or what first encouraged you to read or write?
Probably it was just school and teachers, just different
You enjoyed
teachers.
it?
I don't know that I had an affinity for it in elementary school, but I always wanted to do plays and storytelling. So I think I was more interested in the performance things, or writing something that someone would watch, or
Like the theatrical stuff?
yeah.
Yeah. So, what kind of books or stories did you like?
Um, as I When I was younger, I liked stories that were funny and um, fictional things. But then as I got older, I really liked true stories, like biographies.
Yeah. So, how did your relationship with reading or writing change you as you got older?
Um, well, I think as I got older, I enjoyed reading more biographical stories, and so I learned a lot about different people, and um, I like to find out why people do things, and um, what happens next, and um, I think the whole art of storytelling, and then also like compelling speeches and in history and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, how would you say that literacy has influenced you in your education?
Um, well, I think obviously reading makes you smarter.
Yeah.
Some people don't read, and I can't say that I'm an avid book reader. I can't really pick up a book right now and read it, but I'm an avid news reader, and so I read news from a lot of different sources, and so I read a lot, but it's more um, news and stories of what's happening now, and then I also get interested in what's happening in history, especially with politics and things like that.
Yeah. So, were there any specific classes or assignments that shaped how you think about writing?
Hmm. It's been a long time since I've been in school, so um, I think in college it was just uh, I got more into script writing, and um, I liked telling a story, and I had television production classes, so I would write news scripts and put a whole show together, and so I would think things like that.
So, how did you learn to write in a professional or journalistic way?
I think just in college I learned how to do that, but also, kind of learned on the job in my first job, which was in promotions in television. So I would write um, 30-second ads, kind of like a copywriter would do. And so, yeah, a lot of on the job training, but also, learning the skills through college, high school and college.
Did you ever struggle, like with writing or confidence as a student?
Oh, yeah, all the time. You never know I mean, writing is so subjective. Some people might think it's good, and others might think it's crap.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think you get better as you go along. The more you do it, the better you get. And um, but yeah, I've struggled with that, just like everybody.
Yeah. Were there moments in school when you realized you had a talent for communication or just writing?
Yeah, there were moments like that taught me how to like believe in myself, and it was probably like group projects, and I think I realized, not everyone lives up to the expectations or what they say they're going to do, but then I realized that I was usually the one that always pulled it through, and so I think that taught me to believe in myself more because um, I would follow through and I would end up completing or doing what I said I would do, and that my ideas were actually good ideas. And sometimes you don't know if you have a good idea, or you defer to others because you think they might know more, or you might think they're smarter, but actually it was your idea that was good. And so I don't know, you begin to believe in yourself more sometimes in those group situations, and sometimes just by doing it, repetitive over and over, like I said.
Yeah. So what inspired you to become a news reporter?
Well, I kind of went to school for behind the scenes, and I probably because I just never really had enough confidence in myself. Um, and then I had an opportunity at my job. I was behind the scenes in promotions, writing, and the co-host of the show called in at the last minute and said she wasn't going to be there, and so they asked me to fill in at the last minute, and then I did, and I wasn't bad, and so then they said, oh well, you should do it all the time, and so then I started doing it all the time, and then I'm like, well, I want to do this for a career. It's fun, and so then I started sending out demo tape reels to be like a TV reporter, and then I finally got a job. I went from the biggest market, San Diego, one of the bigger markets, and got a job all the way in San Angelo, California, or Texas, which was a teeny tiny market. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I didn't just try to stay in San Diego, but I think I just needed to get away from
big city,
a relationship where I was,
okay,
and that I was in.
Yeah. So how did your literacy skills?
But don't put that in your paper.
It'll be in the video. Okay, so how did your literacy skills prepare you for that career?
I think just knowing how to write. I was writing as a producer of promotions, like for TV ads, and you would have to write copy around sound bites, and then write a copy again and make it fun and promotional. And so, as a reporter, you have to interview people, use sound bites, and write a story around what they're saying with narration, soundbite, narration, soundbite, and then make it all into one cohesive story.
Yeah. So what would a typical day look like of writing or reporting?
You go into the newsroom, you have a meeting in the morning, and you all have to pitch ideas of what you could do for a story. And then you may or may not, the producer decides what kind of stories they're going to send you out on. And then you, once you're assigned the story, you have to call a person, the expert. You might have to call 2 experts, because usually as a reporter, you would, have, if the story was like, you want to have it balanced, and fair. So you might have to interview 2 or 3 people, and then you would go back to the news station, listen to the sound bites, write down, what the sound bites are, and then write the story around the sound bites. Pick the best sound bites, write the story around the sound bites, and then get it record your audio, and then get it to the photographer who edits the story with your audio, B-roll, sound bites, and then it comes into a video.
So how did you have to adapt your writing style for news stories compared to other forms of writing, like in school or?
Well, it was a lot shorter, and it was more like putting a puzzle piece together, because you have other people's words, and then your thoughts and words, and it may come from their words, but you're trying to tell a story that appeals to the audience, but it has to be true and factual. So maybe that's, why when I was younger, why I liked biographies better than fiction. But it's not long form writing; it's more short form.
Mm-hmm. So did you have deadlines, and if so, like what was the most challenging part of writing under a deadline?
Yeah, I had deadlines because sometimes you had to go out in the morning and put something together for the noon news or the 5 o'clock and the 6 o'clock. You might be on all three stories, and then sometimes the most challenging thing was if you went out on a live accident or something, or a catastrophe, and you're live in 10 minutes and so you have to kind of figure out what's going on so you can tell the news audience what's going on in like 15 minutes and get your thoughts together. So yeah, it's like pulling everything together in a crisis and trying to be factual and let people know as much as you can.
Yeah. Did interviewing people change the way you think about communicating or storytelling or writing?
I don't know that it really changed the way. I don't think it changed the way. I've always had empathy for others and wanting to be fair and balanced, and but also treat people with respect and make sure that they are in their, true and authentic light. And so, I think it probably made me even more empathetic than I already was.
Yeah. So how did reading other journalists' work influence yours?
Probably just helped me to become a better writer.
So what would make a story worth telling in your opinion?
I think the human element, just people who can, people who can see themselves through another person's eyes and who can makes them feel something, happy, sad, thoughtful.
Mm-hmm. So how did you balance facts and emotions when writing?
That's a good question. I was just always factual, and sometimes there's a lot of emotion in a story, and you just kind of have to go with it, and tell the story, even though it's emotional or whatever.
Yeah. Could you tell me about a moment when a story that you were writing had a strong impact on you or others?
There were lots of stories. I hated, I really didn't like having to interview family members or of people who had just lost a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably always why I tell you all to be very careful because I've had to interview people who just lost their loved one in an accident or this or that, and it's just, it was heart-wrenching. So yeah, that always had a big impact on me. But I also I did fun stories of just like a lady celebrated her 100th birthday, and she was just so thankful and happy that someone was recognizing her and that I was doing the story, and her family was so thankful, and that you made their day or made them feel better about their lives. So, yeah, those types of things.
Yeah. So how did you build trust with the people that you interviewed?
I think just trying to be myself, trying to make eye contact, in the way that I told their story afterwards. But I think good eye contact and just trying to be honest and empathetic, and if they say, oh, I don't want that on camera, or oh, don't put that on, I wouldn't put that on, or that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So what role does listening play in your work as a reporter?
It's a huge role. Listening is what it's all about. You have to listen because that might help you ask the next question.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I first started, I was so nervous, and I was just interviewing people, and at first it was just people who had accomplished things, or like those photographers that did those photographs that are in that bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
They're like Life magazine for photographers, so they had taken pictures of big stars and generals and all that, and so I was so nervous. I wrote down all my questions. I was brand new, but I was so nervous I couldn't even hear what they were saying back to me as the answer. And so, it probably would have made me a better journalist or a better interviewer to be able to listen and hear what they were saying as their answers, because then I may have asked a different question than what I had written down on my piece of paper, but I was so young and nervous I didn't listen. So listening is very, very important.
Yeah. So how has being a reporter shaped the way that you see the world?
Probably made me more empathetic and feel bad for people and sad for people, and I can put myself in their circumstance, and it makes me sad that not everyone sees or listens to other people's stories.
Yeah. So how has technology changed the way you read, write, or communicate since you started reporting?
Oh, yeah. Well, technology has allowed me to see much more news immediately, faster, quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And then with AI, it helps you write stories. Like right now, I would always pride myself on coming up with some cool ideas, and I did. But now with ChatGPT, it helps you kind of get started on a new idea. And I don't like to use their complete idea because it's never really perfect, but it helps you get started, and then you can kind of go from there. It kind of helps you, like if you have writer's block or that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So how do you think social media has affected journalism and literacy in general?
I think it allows a lot more people who don't have experience to have a voice.
Yeah.
I don't know if that voice is good or bad, but there's a lot of bad actors that use social media to act as an expert that might not be an expert, and some people can't tell the difference between what is real and what is not real, and what is valid and what is not valid, and what's truthful and what's not truthful. And so it opens up the doors for silos and people to have a complete different reality of what they understand and believe.
So what do you think about how people consume news today compared to when you started?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think when I started, a lot of people just got their news on television.
Yeah.
And watched it there, and there was only 3 news channels. And now people, I don't know that, older generations watch the news on TV, but younger generations get their news on TikTok, or mainly on TikTok, I think, get their news. So, yeah, it's very different.
Yeah. So, do you think people today read and write differently than they used to?
Yes, I think they have a shorter attention span. I don't know that people read long articles. I see, like in the New York Times, they have this article will take 5 minutes to read. So they tell you ahead of time because people don't want to read something that's going to take 15 minutes. They want to read short bits of information, and that's kind of how you have to feed people information these days. And what was the rest of the question?
That was it.
What was the question again? Read it.
Do you think people today read and write differently than they used to?
Oh, the writing. Yeah, I think they write in shorter bits as well.
Yeah. So, what have you learned about people through writing and interviewing them?
I've learned that people have a lot of similarities. That
Mhm.
people think they're different, but they're actually a lot the same. And but there are some really unique personalities out there, and I think people should talk more and communicate more rather than not.
Yeah. So, how do you use your literacy skills now, even after leaving reporting?
Well, I still, and as a chief communications officer for the city of Franklin, I still do a lot of writing and press releases, website content, social media, scripts for videos. So I'm still kind of doing a lot of the same thing. Yeah.
So, if you could give advice to someone trying to become a better writer or communicator, what would you say?
I would say talk to people, read a lot of different styles, I guess, if you can, depending on what style you're interested in. Have a proofreader and listen to others that give you feedback. And that's about it.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you.
Was that 30 questions?
That was 30 questions.
Wow, that was easy.
Told you.